Hi everyone, this is Thomas, and here's my final presentation. It's on the U.S. energy system and the next generation of nuclear power. So to start off, just with a little background on nuclear power, of course, the world was introduced to nuclear power in World War II in the most devastating way, right, through nuclear weapons. However, as you see here, this is President Eisenhower signing into law the Atomic Energy Act, which was designed to take advantage of nuclear power's peaceful purposes and to get nuclear power plants built to power the world. And that started to work. As you see from the 50s through the 70s, nuclear construction was up, innovation in design was at its height, but then after 3 Mile Island and Chernobyl, the industry really struggled, and as you see, it's never recovered. So what that means is that we still rely primarily on fossil fuels, liquid fuels, natural gas, coal. They all led the way in 2012, and as you see, going through 2040, that's going to continue to be the case. The two big problems with that are first that fossil fuels are contributing to climate change. This study from Hansen and others in 2016 said to continue these high rates of emissions would be an extraordinary winning intergenerational injustice. The other issue is resource depletion. Fossil fuels, at the rate we're using them, are finite. They will run out, and some studies say even by the 21st century we will be out of oil and coal. So here are some logos from some innovative advanced nuclear reactor companies in North America. There are nearly 50 of these. They're backed by over $1 billion in private investment with the intention of solving the issues with fossil fuels using nuclear power. These companies are starting to thrive, but not so much in the US. They're starting to go abroad. The problem is they're running into regulatory hurdles with outdated regulations in the US, some other financial hurdles, and they need access to research facilities, which they just don't have right now. So that leads to my thesis statement, which is advanced nuclear energy has the potential to be the United States' most valuable tool for transitioning to a carbon-free energy system and growing the economy and strengthening national security. But these technologies will not progress in the US without dedicated commitment from policymakers. So, quickly, my approach is first to confirm that nuclear power can solve some of these issues with fossil fuels, and then to figure out, all right, if it can, what's gone wrong? Why have we not gotten more nuclear? Of course, the main reasons are the dangers, the meltdowns, nuclear waste, the argument that renewable energy is sufficient, we don't even need nuclear at all, and lastly, that nuclear is just too expensive and it always will be. These are contrasted with the potential of advanced designs, which are hopefully going to solve all these issues. So my final part of the approach is to determine what it is that's holding back advanced reactors from being developed. So to start, I think it's important to highlight that nuclear power is actually clean in terms of contribution to climate change. As you see down at the bottom in the red box is nuclear, and this compares nuclear with other fuel sources based on life cycle greenhouse gas emissions. And as you see, nuclear is on par with solar and wind. So it is a clean energy source. And in the US, this chart shows that nearly 2/3 of the clean electricity in the US comes from nuclear. So this chart shows the generations of reactor design. On the far left, you have generation 2. Those are the large-scale stations like 3 Mile Island, Chernobyl, Fukushima. Those are all really old designs. In the middle, you have designs that are being built today. These are far better, but the really interesting designs are these generation 4, future generation, over on the right side. Those are expected to be able to solve pretty much all the problems with nuclear power today, but they're not expected to be developed until the 2030s at the very earliest. So what are the problems they're designed to solve? Chernobyl and Fukushima, they're the ones that stand out. Those are the scariest accidents in nuclear history. And in fact, research shows that you can expect the core meltdown accidents in those types of reactors to start to increase over time, particularly as they age. However, that discounts the fact that even including those accidents, nuclear is still one of the safest energy resources we have. And a study from Krejci and Hansen found that 1.84 million air pollution related deaths have been prevented by using nuclear instead of fossil fuels. And the next point is that even the designs that are being built today, those Generation 3 reactors, they've effectively designed the potential for meltdown out of their reactors. Generation 4 reactors take it to a whole new level. Alright, but there's still a problem with solving nuclear waste, right? There's over 76,000 metric tons of used fuel in the US, but the fact is, it's called used spent fuel, and Generation 4 reactors can put that spent fuel to use. They are just extremely efficient compared to the traditional reactors, so not only can they draw down that stockpile of waste, but they can use it to provide clean power. Okay, so the next argument is that, well, maybe wind and solar can provide all our energy needs alone. Shouldn't we just focus on that? Well, technically, yes, wind and solar could be built out to provide all our energy needs by 2050, according to the study from Jacobson and others in 2015. However, it would require tremendous political will, but it could be done. The real question is that worth it? Is that a good investment of resources? Well, on the far right here, you see renewable energy currently only makes up 10% of our energy consumption. And within that, solar is only 4%, wind is only 18%. So they have a long way to go. That's going to require a tremendous amount of resources. Meanwhile, as you see on the left again, nuclear electric power already provides 8% of our energy, and that's clean. So renewables don't have to do it alone. They can work with nuclear. Together, they can provide a clean energy system. In addition, advanced reactors have some very interesting end-use applications. They can desalinate water. They can create hydrogen for hydrogen fuel cell vehicles, hydrogen for battery storage. They can also create the high heat needed for industrial purposes that solar and wind can't do right now. Alright, so the bottom line though, isn't nuclear just too expensive? It always has been, right? The study from Cooper in 2012 finds that, yeah, the existing reactors, they're financial disasters waiting to happen because you have to build in so much redundancy to keep them safe. They're just really expensive. However, advanced Generation 4 designs, they are completely safer. They're inherently safe. They don't require the same safety mechanisms. They can be built smaller, more simpler. They can even be built in a manufacturing plant on an assembly line, so you can take advantage of economies of scale and make a profit on these things. So the potential of advanced reactors, it really is high, but there is still an initial hurdle to get over, and that's going to be expensive. So how do we get over that? Well, the first solution is the Department of Energy needs to start working with all those innovative reactor companies in the U.S. They've already started to work with a couple to test their designs and prove their concept, so that way they can get more private funding. But at this point, they're kind of picking winners and losers. They're not creating an open field of innovation, which is what they should be doing. The next solution is to update the regulations in the U.S. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission has been the gold standard of regulation forever, but they're still best at licensing those old school designs. They haven't updated themselves to license new designs, which means if an advanced reactor wants to license their design, it can take up to a decade and hundreds of millions of dollars, which is something these new companies just don't have. So the NRC needs to be updated. So my recommendation is U.S. Congress needs to develop a national energy plan. It needs to figure out how nuclear can work along with renewables to get rid of fossil fuels. The second thing is partnerships. Partnerships are really critical, not only public and private partnerships, but within the public sector, the Department of Energy and the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, they need to work together to share expertise and make sure that reactors can be designed in the most responsible, effective way possible. And then international cooperation is also important. The U.S. should work with China and India and other countries that are already developing these technologies, and they should just be partners. They should work together and make sure this is done responsibly. And lastly, the U.S. needs to stop investing in fossil fuels. They're giving fossil fuels an unfair advantage with this $20 billion annual fossil fuel subsidy, and at some point we need to cap carbon emissions and set clean energy portfolio standards throughout the country. That will really allow nuclear and renewable to make a clean energy economy happen. So my conclusion is advanced nuclear power has a tremendous amount of value. It can provide reliable, safe, clean energy, but if the U.S. fails to act, another country is going to take over and the U.S. will fall behind. Or worse, this technology won't be developed at all and we'll start to experience the worst effects of climate change. So I'm going to finish with my slides, my references. There's 3 slides here, so you can go back and view them as you like. And please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.